Hello and welcome. My name is Miche and I am Digital and Partnership Manager for Impact, Turning Point Swindon and Wiltshire Active Recovery Drug and Alcohol Service. I'm having a series of conversations with a few of my wonderful colleagues about their thoughts on Alcohol Awareness Week and what people might expect from services. Today I'll be talking to Nikki and I'm going to ask Nikki to introduce themselves and what their role is here at Impact. So over to you, Nikki. Who are you and what do you do?
Thanks, Miche. Hi, everyone. My name's Nikki Ralph and I am a Clinical Services Manager based across Swindon Wiltshire Impact team. It's a pleasure to be here. Thanks, Miche.
Oh, thank you. Nikki, we've agreed that I'm going to ask a series of questions and you'll give your thoughts on those questions. So to start with, for anybody that may be drinking alcohol daily and are thinking of just stopping, what might you say to them?
Thanks, Miche. So if somebody was drinking daily, our advice would be to not suddenly stop drinking, and certainly not without the advice of a professional, including a specialist service such as Turning Point. We know that withdrawal from alcohol can be very dangerous. In fact, it can be fatal. So our advice to somebody who has been drinking daily is to not suddenly stop, please. Our advice when we do speak to clients, and if they do want to reduce and ultimately stop, is to look at a reduction of no more than 10% of our units per week. I'll go further into units, I'm sure, through the questions, but that would be our general advice once we've done an assessment, although, you know, dependent on somebody's physical health, mental health and current situation, that advice may also vary on how we support somebody with a detox. But for anybody who's wishing to stop drinking and has been drinking daily, please do not do so suddenly without seeking that advice.
Thank you. I think that advice is really clear. If you're out there and you've been drinking daily, please don't stop and seek advice. Many people are aware of links between the alcohol and the liver, and we know that the liver is a remarkable organ. But are there other health problems that could be caused by alcohol?
Thanks, Miche. Unfortunately, the answer is yes. Alcohol can have an impact on quite a few organs within our body. The alcohol can cause quite well documented alcohol-related brain damage or alcohol-related brain injuries, or sometimes referred to as wet brain as a result of alcohol. That unfortunately can lead to dementia, also depression and anxiety. The alcohol can also affect our mental health significantly. I'm sure again we'll cover that further on in this conversation, but it can unfortunately enhance somebody's depression and or anxiety. Alcohol can have an effect on our mouth and throat and can lead unfortunately to cancer, as well as breast cancer and also liver, stomach and bowel cancer. Alcohol can have an effect on our heart and can include hypertension, which is an increased blood pressure, and also the risk of having a stroke. The alcohol, as you know, and you stated in the question, Miche, has a detrimental effect on the liver and can cause fatty liver, hepatitis and cirrhosis or scarring of the liver. What many people don't know is that alcohol can also have an effect on the reproductive systems and can cause temporary impotence and reduced fertility.
Thank you. Wow, that's a big old list. So we know that there is a strong of people using other substances whilst they're using alcohol. For example, many people will be using cocaine at the same time as being out drinking. What are the dangers of this?
Thanks, Miche. There are many dangers with this mixture. These two substances, alcohol and cocaine, when they interact, so when they're used together, they will produce a highly toxic substance in the liver. And this is referred to as cocaethylene. And it's very, very dangerous. What this can cause ultimately is death. It can cause a risk of cocaine overdose. When somebody's drinking alcohol, the use of cocaine increases. It can cause stroke and heart attacks. It can cause bleeding on the brain, as well as damaging the heart with regard to chronic cardiac toxicity, poisoning of the heart, or cardiac arrhythmias, so just missing a beat or irregular beats leading to potential for heart attack. The mixture of these two substances can also cause people to be more aggressive. And obviously with heightened aggression can mean that somebody will get themselves into all realms of difficulties with potential fights, with making risky or unwise decisions. The unique thing about these two substances is that it takes, when used together, cocaethylene, it can take longer to get out of your system. Therefore, because it's in your system longer, it takes longer for your body to get rid of it. It subjects your heart and your liver to longer periods of stress. So that is where the danger of mixing these two substances come in. So not only your immediate risk of overdose and not surviving your initial use, but also the damage and the pressure it puts on your liver and heart due to those two toxic substances together being in your body for longer.
Thanks again for a very thorough answer on that question. Nikki, I know we often hear people talking about units and safe units, etc. Is there an easy way that people can understand alcohol units?
Yeah, I think there are many ways, and each way will be dependent on sort of the person's learning and understanding of it. But there are plenty of resources available for alcoholchange.org.uk have fantastic resources with figuring out your alcohol units. The NHS will have Drink Aware, just to give some examples. As a professional, not that you need to be a professional to use it, but I use a very, very simple calculation. So wherever I am, I use this calculation and I come up with the exact units. And that is by calculating the strength, or the ABV, which stands for alcohol by volume. You times that by the volume of the drink in mils, and you divide it by 1,000. So if we look at a standard glass of wine, which would be 175 mils, I would calculate it as the ABV being 13%, the strength, times the volume, 175 mils, divided by 1,000. That gives me a calculation of 2.3 units. So the calculation is the strength times the volume divided by 1,000, and that will give you an accurate recording of the units. But if that isn't your favourite or easiest way of calculating it, then the resources that I gave you, alcoholchange.org.uk, the NHS website, or Drink Aware, have free and good resources to be able to calculate it, and there are plenty of apps out there as well.
Thanks for the reminder of those. Like you said, there's really good resources that are out there to support people. The theme for Alcohol Awareness Week this year is alcohol and your mental health. Many people believe that drinking helps them to cope with their mental health. What thoughts do you have around that?
Thanks, Miche. This is a really interesting one. It's been documented in an article I read that the alcohol is described as the UK's favourite coping mechanism, and many people will use alcohol as a means of coping with their mental health, such as stress, anxiety, depression, or any other mental health problem. Unfortunately, when people try to self-medicate, what can actually happen is those issues that they were trying to cover get progressively worse. And so my thoughts on it would be that as difficult as it may feel at that time, is to try and get support for your mental health through friends, family, be it self-help, or through the professionals. That alcohol in the long run will not help with any problems that you're going through, be it short-term or long-term. That continued use of alcohol will put pressure on your brain and will, has the potential to make brain changes, which would just exacerbate any underlying mental health problems that somebody will have. The other side of alcohol is that if you're drinking alcohol and you do develop mental health problems, that actually you might not know it because the alcohol consumption has masked what you've got going on, and so you'll never really know whether you need that support, and you'll never access that support. So my advice will always be to try and seek that support and to not use alcohol as a coping mechanism for mental health. yeah, as difficult as that may be, but it's a really, really interesting topic, Miche. And, you know, I think people with mental health that do drink, or people that do drink that have mental health, and I think that's why it's important that services work together, GPs and specialist drug and alcohol service, mental health teams and drug and alcohol services, that the relationship between the two is important, because we do quite often see people that access our services also have underlying mental health problems.
And the good news is, here at Turning Point in Swindon and Wiltshire, we do have those good relationships and regular meetings with the mental health team across Swindon and Wiltshire as well. Thanks again for another great answer. So we know many people listening to this today, drinking varies for different people, but there may be people out there who wish to drink but would like to stay healthy. Is there a limit of units that they should not go above?
Thanks, Miche. In short, yes. So the national guidance is that men or women do not exceed more than 14 units of alcohol per week. The advice is to try and spread those units out over 3 or more days, but allowing for a couple of days non-drinking. However, having said that, there is, nothing going to be more healthy than not drinking. And also ensuring that you have a healthy, balanced diet, that your exercise and your physical and mental health are also looked after well, either on your own or by professionals. I think that people can drink less than 14 units a week and still experience problems, and people can drink more than 14 units a week and not experience any problems for a short period. So, the advice is to make sure that, yes, you try and follow that guidance where possible, less than 14 units, but also it's about the whole you, it's about the whole person, and, looking after everything from your nutrition to your health. With also saying that if somebody is pregnant or thinking about becoming pregnant, then the advice is very different with regard to alcohol consumption. And, either of those cases, if you are thinking about becoming pregnant or you are pregnant, it's best to speak to a professional immediately, because the advice around drinking and pregnancy is obviously very different, and we wouldn't be recommending 14 units per week for that cohort. So it's very important that professional advice is sought straight away to minimise risk to you and the unborn child.
Again, so that message is, yes, there is a limit of units. If you're pregnant or considering getting pregnant, then no drinking is the safest option. Nikki, I'd like to thank you so much for your time today, for sharing your thoughts and your clear expertise and allowing us to share this recording. For anyone who's listening, who may be thinking of making contact, even if it's for an informal chat, if they're not sure where they are with their alcohol use, please do call our out of hours number, which is 0345 603 6993. You can email me at impactreferrals@turning-point.co.uk. You can search for our webpage, the Wiltshire Wellbeing Cloud, or you can find us on both Facebook and Twitter. Thanks all for listening. It's a goodbye from me and a
goodbye from me.